Hello everyone, my name is Lindsay Littleson and I'm the author of Guardians of the Wild Unicorns. I was thrilled when I heard my novel had been shortlisted for the 2020 East Sussex Children's Book Award, and I thoroughly enjoyed visiting some East Sussex schools in March to get the chance to talk about my book. I was inspired to write Guardians when I read in a newspaper that unicorns are the national animal of Scotland. I thought it was really quite bizarre that Scotland is a mythical creature as its national animal. But once I started to do some research, I discovered that long ago, people believed unicorns were as real as tigers and giraffes. So I thought, what if? What if people in the past were right and unicorns really do exist? What if a whole herd of wild unicorns were living in Scotland? I set my story in the Highlands as their beautiful remote glens and forests seemed the perfect setting for the last herd of wild unicorns. It wasn't difficult to work out what would be happening to them. They'd been poached for their horns the way rhinos are in Africa. So I had to invent characters, two children who would be brave enough to rescue the unicorns. My main characters, Rona and Lewis, are two Glaswegian school children. They're best friends, but they couldn't be more different. Rona's cheerful and enthusiastic, and she's loving being on the school residential trip to the Highlands. The trip's an escape for her because Rona's keeping secrets about the problems she's facing at home. In contrast, Lewis is reserved and a bit grouchy. The residential is his idea of hell. He doesn't consider himself in the least bit heroic, and he needs to put himself right out of his comfort zone to save the unicorns. I'm going to read a very short extract. This is from chapter 17, when the children have a go and it all goes terribly wrong. Lewis stopped studying the fence, ran forward and took hold of the shaft of the axe. Good plan, let's do it together. We'll get a better lift. Ready? Aim for the shackle. No, really? The noise of the axe clanging against metal, bashing into wood was horrendous. Between each attempt, Rona raised her head and listened, waiting for Alex, Ailsa or the Laird to rush up and demand to know what they were doing. The iron shackle was crushed and crumpled, but the lock still held, and they were running out of time. Together, they raised the axe again, brought it down as hard as they could. The axe head cracked against iron, then spun off its shaft, sailed through the air and thudded into the side of an old beech tree. For a long, terrible moment they stood in silence, unable to process this disaster. Then Rona let go of the axe handle and clamped her hands over her mouth, stifling a sob. It's over. Lewis let the axe shaft fall. The axe is wrecked. So that was their first unsuccessful attempt to rescue the captured unicorns. It's been disappointing that I can't come down to the award ceremony in June because I was really looking forward to it. But for me, being on the shortlist was a real honour and I've absolutely loved being part of it all. So thank you for having me and stay safe. Thank you.